Hello, it's me and another unboxing here. I'm going to safely open this. Put that out of the way. And let's see what we got coming on in here. Now it looks like a mass-produced puzzle, but it's not really. So this has all the looks of a Fisher cube, like one of these guys. Could it be that I bought another one? Well, sort of yes and sort of no. So yeah, it does look like a Fisher cube over here, except that there's something a little bit different. Notice that on the top it's a Fisher, and on the bottom we seem to have taken 2 layers of a Fisher cube and intermixed this with 2 layers of just a regular 4x4. So what we have is a combination. So this scrambles to the side, this scrambles to the front. So someone had this brilliant notion of doing it like that. So this is actually how it's going to scramble over here. Aha! So it might lend a little bit more of a challenge because you're combining centers and combining forms of different puzzles. So anyway, what he did is he took basically 2 puzzles, which is a Fisher 4x4 and a regular 4x4, and basically swapped layers. So the scrambling of it and the solving of it, although is like a 4x4, it does lend to a nice variation. So it almost has characteristics that you would expect from a ghost cube, sort of. Anyway, so this promises to scramble in interesting ways. Actually, why don't I go ahead and scramble that now, just to kind of show what that's like. So this is how it's positioned. I'll just go ahead and scramble this here. Again, still going to use 4x4 techniques, 4-layer techniques, but it's probably going to be an interesting variation of that. When I saw this, I said, wow, what a great idea. So we'll give it a whirl. So the movement is, of course, very smooth. It doesn't jumble, it doesn't bandage, it's not a cuboid or anything like that. It's just a very unique idea for a variation of a 4x4. So here's the centers here. I'm mixing these guys as part of the center. So you can see here this is scrambled, like so and like so. Alright, if anyone's interested, I can go through a solve of this. Otherwise, interesting idea. You can, of course, probably make this yourself as well. Thanks for watching. Hello, it's me, and it's time to continue through the pages of the unboxings. This one comes straight from Vietnam. This comes from the guy who made all of those ghost cubes. So he's really, really good at modifications. And what could this possibly be? Well, it's something else that helps complete a collection for me. So he's really good with the shape modifications. And there was one type of a shape mod that I really wanted to help kind of complete things a little bit as I aggressively go through. Aha! Ooh, it's a bigger type puzzle. Let's see what we got. Whoa! Could lose an eye like that. Anyway, so it's wrapped up nicely, not revealing any possibility of what it could be. So take off the topsoil here. I'm going to make a primary incision at the dermal layer. Having made that, I'm going to peel away the top layer over here, getting into the dermal portions. And then from there, get deep to the visceral aspects of our surgery. A couple more incisions here, a couple of adhesions to lice, and next thing you know, we are getting closer. Kersplat. Okay, more layers to get through. More layers to get through. Aha! Well, more. So we are now unwinding this. Now, there's actually a reason why this is packed so nicely and so tight. Because this represents, I believe, round 2. The first time this puzzle came, it came broken. So he was good enough to make another one, and is packed really tight so that there'll be no issues with this. And aha, so you can see it has all the looks of a dodecahedron, and we're down to the final, and it looks like it's completely whole. So what is this? What do I have in front of me? Well, it's obviously a dodecahedron, but what this is it comes from a Megaminx. Color scheme is very similar, I think. It's got all different colors, I guess. But what this is instead of turning on the face like a true Megaminx, this turns on the axis over here. So what this represents is this is an axis Megaminx. So this is the center here, and these are the edges, and these are the corners. So this continues the whole motif of shape mods, but this is from a Megaminx shape mod. So this is much like this puzzle over here. You can see that there's a characteristic look that this has, this triangular portion here and here. You see triangular portions here, here. So looking at the motion, just as good as I've come to expect from his work. And now if I line up edge with center, it of course shape shifts. So it promises to be an interesting perspective bender, as are his ghost puzzles, ghost cubes. So just to put it in perspective with everything else, this is to this as this is to this. So it represents another page in the modification page book. It's solved like a super Megaminx, I suppose, where center orientation means something. We've seen these before with Hexaminx and whatnot, so I don't imagine that the solve will be much different regarding that in terms of challenge, but it will be fun, because like I say, it's not just the challenge of the puzzle that I look for, it's how well or how much I can complete a series. So there you have it, Axis Megaminx. What I could do is I could go through a little bit of a scramble just to show you what that looks like. Move this here and move this over here, line them up, and I can continue like that. So there's a little taste of it. I usually like to examine it first before doing a full scramble and solve, unless I accidentally scramble it. So, Axis Megaminx, once again completing or continuing to build the different aspects of my collection. More up to follow. Thanks for watching. Hello, it's me, and it's time to cap off this particular unboxing series. Now this obviously comes from the HK Now store. Well, I say obviously because it generally comes in these bags. Now you're probably wondering, why am I unboxing something from the HK Now store? Calvin fan. What is the purpose of that? Because I usually don't do mass-produced puzzles. But this one, if it's what I think it is, well, kind of special. Anyway, this has a name and a number, AJ17814. This is made by AJ. Now, if you look at the hand modification section of HK Now, you're going to see work by AJ. And he does really interesting and fascinating modifications that HK Now, Calvin fan, sells. So what is this? Now, my challenge is to help me figure out what this puzzle is. Because I had something of a challenge to try to get this, figure it out, and try to solve it. But I'm going to start with a challenge to see if you can help me out with this one. I'm going to very carefully, cautiously open this. Now you can see it has almost like a ghost or axis look to it. And to be honest with you, I don't even know, really. So here this is, just kind of get a feel for it. This shape looks familiar. It looks like an axis. Or is it a ghost? Well, let's see how it turns. So from all intents and purposes, it looks like an axis with a couple of interesting layers about it. There's a layer here. So let's look at our layers here. 1, 2, 3. So we have a middle layer. So yeah, it looks like, well, it looks like an axis. I can turn from here. So what's all the rest of this? Again, I appear to be having three layers here, here, and here. But it looks like there's some further action that's going on here. So I'm just going to turn this around here. And I'm going to see if maybe I can make another motion here. It almost looks like this wants to move here. So, what is this puzzle? And why did I buy it? And why was I somewhat fascinated by it? Well, let's see. This cap is a little loose here, but I'm going to turn this over here. Maybe do some shape-shifting moves. All right, 1, 2, 3. So here's a shape-shifting. So it looks like, well, like an axis cube. Let's see, turn it over. It's kind of hard for me to find out where the center is. This looks like a center, but it's kind of strange how this is organized. So I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. Still not completely acclimated to the puzzle. Okay, here's 1, 2, and 3. and here's a centerpiece over here. Centerpiece, 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 edge, corner. But what are all these other slices? I'm going to continue to try to figure this out, and I hope I've given this in enough angles, and maybe you can help me kind of figure this out, because somewhere within this chaos there must be a way to move more layers. Here's this, no, this moves the same. So maybe there's an extra internal motion. 1, 2, nope, still just 3 layers. All right, well, you got me. So what is this? What did AJ do? Because I'm pretty fascinated. I'm going to scramble it, solve it, and see what comes from it. Tell me what you think. What do I have? Let me do this actually. Let's go ahead and start to scramble this. Let's see. I line it up here. No, I can line it up here. So I'm just going to scramble this and see what emerges. Maybe the structure of this emerges as I'm scrambling this. 1, 2, 3. It almost feels like this piece wants to move too. So right now, it seems like I just have a very strange looking axis puzzle with caps that want to fall off. Those I'm going to probably super glue in later. So maybe the process of scrambling this puzzle is as much of a challenge as solving it. Alright, so I've got this over here. Alright, so here's something of a scramble, but I'm going to see if I can't scramble these guys. So the question is, what do I have? What puzzle is this? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Hello, it's me, and I'm here to show you the mystery of this puzzle. This was brought by AJ at the HK Now store. Under hand mods, you can find it. This is actually called the Axis Duo Cube, or Duo Axis Cube. And what this is on the surface, it looks just like an axis cube. As a matter of fact, we can kind of take a look and see the similarities here. Color scheme is a little different, but that's okay. But you can see that it shares some homologies here. We can turn this axis cube will turn on the axis over here, this will turn on the axis over here, and it pretty much acts exactly like that, except it has one extra property. Line this up with the edge over here, line this up with the edge over here, and then you can do your shape-shifting turns. But this actually wasn't made from an axis cube by a 3x3, like this one was. This was made from, instead of a 3x3, this is actually made by one of these guys. This is a 3x5x5, which has movements that are similar to a 3x3. You can actually scramble it and solve it as a 3x3. It's been a while since I've used this. You can see that the yellow is worn down, so it looks like another white. May have to get new stickers. But you've also got these slices over here. So it acts as a 3x3x5. And these different slices over here, that's the extra slices that are here as well. But it's not exactly like this. Because if I were to look at this and start to move this into a side over here, you see that these have an extra slice, an extra slice. It's just oriented differently. But also these centers here, these edges over here, also have extra slices in it too. So it's not just like a 3x3x5, you'd have to have an extra slice with these edges. So it's a lot like this instead, but it's got these little roadblock things over here too. So it moves kind of the same way, with the different slices up here too. I think I showed demonstrations of this, but you've also got these here as well. So it's kind of a combination of that. But here's what they did. What he did is he basically took a 3x5x5, did a random scramble of this puzzle, just going to do a limited kind of a thing, and then turned it into an axis cube like that. That's why you see that all of these pieces aren't necessarily lined up. These are lined up over here, but these aren't. So he did a random scramble and then just placed stickers on that. So the actual scramble of this puzzle is a little bit more complex, a little bit more complicated. There's a random scramble with this, and then he sliced it down and turned it into an axis cube and then re-stickered it. So it is possible to scramble this in more than just an axis puzzle. If I were to put this into a position here, well actually it's not a go, so I don't have to put it into a position, but let's say I define this as the top. To really get a full scramble, to put this into a configuration where it's like a 3x5x5, then what I'm going to want to do is start turning some of these around. So I see this edge over here. This is pointing to the bottom, so this can move. This corner is okay over here too. But as I'm looking at it, this corner has to be turned and this edge has to be turned. So in order to turn these in the proper configurations so that I can do the top slice move, this is fine over here, the other edge, this is fine over here too. So this edge is okay, this edge is okay. This edge here is upside down, and this edge is upside down. So I'm just going to right side up them by holding it here and doing F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I, then again F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I. And what that's going to do is all of these are now in line so that they can be turned. Now in terms of the corners, well, this corner's fine and this corner's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this like the last layer. This corner here and this corner here have to be turned upside down. So I'm going to do RI, DI, RD, RI, DI, RD. And again, I'm actually not turning it upside down, I'm just flipping it around. Okay, and now this is fine. Now, according to the law of cubes, this is fine. You can see these are all lined up. I had to do that algorithm twice, which means I should only have to do this once. So without even looking at it, I should be able to just do RI, DI, RD, RI, DI, RD. So what I've done is I've in essence turned this into a layer that I can move. So now I can move this across over here and basically move these away from these pieces over here. So I'm deconstructing it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with this layer over here. So upside down, right side up, right side up. So I'm going to do the same thing. F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I, F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F. I know what I like about this is you actually have to use algorithms to scramble this puzzle. This corner is right side up, this is flipped, this is good, flipped and flipped. So yeah, there's a bunch that we're gonna have to do. So RI, DI, R, D, RI, DI, R, D. So this is now flipped correctly. I'm gonna move this in position. RI, DI, R, D, RI, DI, RD. So this is correct. And now this one, RI, DI, RD. And it should just be 1 to match with my law of cubes. Okay, now this is okay. So now this can be moved as well. So this is actually a full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the 3 by 5 by 5 organization that you can see over here. Now, instead of just doing another scramble, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start mixing sides here. I'm trying to get as much of a scramble as possible because you might not see this puzzle a whole lot. So line things up, and it does move very smooth, and I'm just scrambling these layers with each other. Turn, 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 and I'm just going to keep going with this. The movement is very, very good. And turn, and I'm just going to keep going along with this. So I'm getting as good a scramble as I can here, separating these guys out. And we'll do this. Okay, now I don't have all of them quite scrambled, and that's because, let me just put that in. Okay, we're doing good here. And that's because what about these middle areas? These middle areas are areas that are not on 3 by 5 by 5, so I must have taken another one and lopped that on there. So I'm going to want to take these and move them up to here. But I want to do that in such a way that I don't want to destroy what I've already done with the other ones. So I'm going to go to my back to basics technique and just do corner swaps, or edge swaps rather. Because what I'd like to do is I'd like to take this and say move it up here. To do that, just swap these two. I'm just going to move this in this position here and just do an adjacent edge swap. So that's going to be 2R, U, 2R, U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, U, 2R, UI, and 2R. Having done that, I then just plot that back. So keeping track of where I'm at, this is now up here, and this can be moved, and I shouldn't have moved anything out, which is the case. Now, before I do that, let's take another one of these and move it up. Well, this was one that I just put up here, so I'm just going to bat this out of the way. And now I'm going to swap these two. So this will come here, and this will come over here. To our U, to our U, to our, to U, to our, to U, to R, U, to R, UI, to R. Okay, so now both of these two are up here, and I've got a couple more. I've got these two. Why don't I take this and move this to this side over here? So I'm going to bat this out of the way here and flip-flop these two. To R, U, to R, U, to R, to U, to R, to U, to R, U, to R, UI, to R, flip that up. And now finally I want to do the same thing with this. Let's take this, and I don't want to do this upside down. So this will come into this layer over here. If I move this over here and flip-flop it. Flip-flop these two. To R, U, to R, U, to R, to U, to R, to U, to R, U, to R, UI, to R. So just to scramble this puzzle, this back, I've got to do algorithms. Anyway, so now these can be separated, and I just go like clunk, and then I've got one here, so I go splat. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start separating them from where they were. Move this across over here. Move this across like so. And I'm basically moving everything away from each other. Turn, turn. I'm just doing 180-degree turns with these layers here, so that I can be sure that I'm separating everything from each other. And that's pretty much what I have. So now they're all separated. Now that I have that, actually these guys aren't. And now they are. So all of the top layers are going to have to be separated from the bottom layers. And now I'm going to turn this over here. Okay, so everything should be teased out. So this is a 3x5x5, but we've not done our full scramble yet. We've just scrambled out all of our pieces. We've just de-reduced them. So now I'm just going to do my normal 3x3 scramble here. So just to get to this stage, I had to use algorithms. I actually had to use strategy to do that. But this is just to show you what the full scramble of this puzzle looks like. Turn, turn, and turn. Now the solve of this puzzle is basically kind of reversing what I just did in the scramble. And turn. Yeah, there we go. So now these areas of the 3x5x5, they're all kind of bandaged together. So this is equivalent to this scramble. I didn't separate these out in this particular puzzle, but that's what we have over here. So this is the full scramble of the duo cube. You see that there's multiple layers, that some are right angles to each other. I can't move this top one over here. So if you're interested in observing the solve of this puzzle, let me know. But this is the full scramble of this very unique and interesting shape modification. So there you have it. Thanks for watching.